You must have an opinion, my dad always said.
You must have a point of view. Yeah, and an opinion.
I think he's right. You've got to have an opinion.
Not sterilised opinion either.
In World War II, the Nazis would make the prisoners of war pick up these massive piles of rocks and move them from one side of the yard to the other. And then the next day, they would make them move them all back again. No reason, no purpose, just pointless, relentless labour. And it broke people far faster than dangerous jobs like building tunnels. Psychiatrists called this learned helplessness. No matter what you do, it doesn't make a difference, so you just give up trying. And I think that's what it feels like for a lot of people in the UK right now. You get your degree, you get a job, you do everything you're supposed to, and you can barely make ends meet.
I'm 43 and I'm actually going to be selling my house and moving back in with my parents. Quite a difficult decision, really.
Cost of living in England, absolutely astronomical.
You're just paying your bills.
My 22-year-old daughter, who's in her first job, she's done everything that society said she should do. She'd go to university, take on the student debts. She's pretty much on national minimum wage.
How are people affording to live right now?
And that kind of hopelessness, well, that turns to apathy, and that apathy turns to anger, and that anger needs a path. Algorithms, who know you better than you know yourself, will make sure that your apathy, your anger, will be directed exactly where they want it to go. Some of us will blame the lefty snowflakes, some of us will blame the far-right nut jobs, some of us will blame the billionaires who aren't paying enough tax, some of us will blame the men coming over illegally on dinghies, some of us will blame anybody or anything that we could possibly blame other than the thing that we should be blaming. The real problem is the system itself. It's headlines that are designed to distract you with outrage, so you never stop to ask the question, who benefits from all of this? It's the quiet normalization of struggle. The gaslighting of an entire population to think that it's their fault that they can't keep up. That's the system, and it's rotten. And as long as we're here blaming each other, we're not blaming it.
And that's why a Labour government would freeze council tax this year. No ifs, no buts. Labour would freeze council tax next year.
We're going to freeze council tax next year.
You could rip up that council tax bill because you would not pay a penny more than you paid last year.
Yes, you heard it right. Not a penny more on your council tax.
But none of those pledges in our manifesto requires increases in council tax.
No, we're not planning to reform council tax.
That is what we would do in government.
Is he going to do what a Labour government would do and announce an immediate freeze in council tax bills?
We're often asked the question, when you criticise the government, what would you do? Well, we're saying what we would do. We would freeze council tax. We would freeze council tax.
Let me be clear about something. Right, politics, as it stands today, I don't think it's effective. I don't think any party, red, green, blue, purple, gold, has the tools or even the will to fix what's fundamentally broken. Because here's the thing, I don't really think that we're living in like a true democracy. I think that idea is like comforting fiction at best. It's like a bedtime story we're told every 4 years to keep us docile and engaged like cattle that believe they're free because they get to decide which gate they can walk through. But if you pull back the curtain, what do you find? You find this rotating cast of career politicians and lobbyists and unelected advisors who operate within a closed loop of influence, a tiny self-sustaining ecosystem where power is all consolidated, not by merit or will of the people, but by wealth and connection and legacy. We're told we have a voice, but it's like being handed a megaphone in a soundproof room. We're offered a choice, but it's a choice between different shades of the same decay. And we're often encouraged to debate, to argue amongst each other endlessly and squabble while those at the top remain untouchable and anonymous and unaccountable. So no, the solution isn't coming from the next politician wearing some cheap polyester suit. It isn't coming from a ballot box. The real revolution, as I see it, as I believe it, it's not political. It's personal, it's cultural, it's how we see the world and how we stop playing the game they've rigged for themselves. So that's my opinion, unsanitized, just like Dad wanted it. And like all opinions, it's neither right nor is it wrong. It's just how I see things, it's what I feel and what I refuse to stay quiet about. You don't have to obviously agree with it, but at least have your own, because silence might feel safe and comfortable, but it will never set you free. So yeah, that was a tribute to you, Dad.
You must have a point of view. Yeah, and an opinion.
While I was watching this diatribe of mine, I got frustrated. I'm going to unpack what I mean by we need a cultural revolution. I'm going to sound like a wellness wanker. It's who I am now. Just roll with it. Everything that happens to you, see it as the universe holding up a mirror. The universe doesn't want to give you what you ask for. It wants to give you what you're aligned with. The universe will strip away what no longer fits, even if you think it fits perfectly, even if once it brought you joy and comfort. But comfort isn't the goal here. Transformation is. And transformation, it's never really that pretty. It's messy, it's quiet, it's unclear. It looks like breakdown, but it's actually slowly rebuilding something. The universe doesn't test your strength, it tests your frequency. It asks, will you keep going when nobody is watching? And if you do, quietly, consistently, doors will open. Not because you impressed the universe in some way, but because you reflected it. Most people out there, they wait for a sign, a big red button, a green light, but often the sign is the silence. So if life feels slow or paused right now, maybe it isn't. Maybe everything is happening beneath the surface. I know this all sounds far-fetched, but I think this is what is needed in order to elicit change. If things are shaking or breaking or falling away, it might not be the end. It might be your initiation, the messy birth of something far greater. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask, what is this making space for? Because the universe, it's not random, it's responsive, and every moment you thought was wasted was shaping you for what's to come. I've probably lost a lot of you right now, so I'm going to pull you back with a fact that supports my wellness wanker argument here, okay? 99.9999999% of every atom is empty space. Now, if you remove that empty space from every atom in every human on Earth, you'd end up shrinking us down to the size of a freaking sugar cube. That begs the question, what are we then, if we're not really matter, not in the way we think we are anyway? I believe we're frequency. Because if life is mostly like empty space, maybe what we experience is just a signal, a reflection of what we're broadcasting. And only once you release the old signal, the fear, the story, the control, can you choose where to tune into next. When you shift your perspective, you don't just change your life, you change the frequency of the universe itself.